Next up, taking a peek at the steering wheel for the vehicle. So this is going to be a full walk around on the steering wheel, the cluster screen, as well as all of these different buttons here. Let's go for it. So first thing to point out, this is the 401A version of the Mustang GT, but if we were inside of the 201A EcoBoost, this setup would look the exact same. So we would have that fully digital display. If we were inside of the Mach 1, same idea, we would have that nice look. The stick on the left-hand side, we do have a little button on that tip of that stick. You can just kind of make out the little lanes there. And that's going to be our lane keeping system, which works 3 different ways. First way, if we start to veer over without signaling, we get a little bit of a steering wheel shake, almost as if we're running over a rumble pavement. Way number 2 is it'll gently nudge us back into our lane. Way number 3, it'll do a mixture of both. So a little bit of a shake and gently nudge us back into our lane. If this thing drives you nuts, you do have the flexibility to easily toggle it on or off, so you can kind of see that system turning on there. So the system itself turns on when we hit about 62 kilometers an hour, and those lanes are going to go green, letting you know that the system itself is active. And because we're in the 10-speed automatic transmission, we do also have our paddle shifters, so minus on the left, plus on the right-hand side, so we can easily adjust gears as necessary. You don't have to use these things either if you don't want to. Unfortunately, no way to disable them. They're always there, but I mean, it is nice that we've got that as an option. Stick on the right-hand side is going to be for our windshield wipers, so we can easily adjust as necessary there. We're going to pull in towards us in order to get that front windshield wiper fluid going as well. Now, we've got a series of different buttons and pads and things like that on the left versus the right side. So starting off with the pad on the left-hand side, this is going to let us change between songs or radio stations. If we flip over to our audio for a second there, and there we go. So we can also press and hold that button there. So as you can see there, in order to seek. So if we want to seek out stations, we can go that way if we want to, very, very simply. You can actually see it right along the very top because we are in the fully digital screen. So you can see it kind of going nuts there. And we can also change between our active presets there. So a few different options. We can increase or decrease the volume there if we want to, and then we can also mute out by pressing the button in the very middle. We will at least have regular cruise control, but this specific one has the Ford Safe and Smart package, which gives us our adaptive cruise control as well as our factory navigation. But going through some basics, we can easily turn the system on by pressing this button, and when we do, you can see that we've got a few other options that have shown up on that screen. So we've got a lane 1, and then we've also got one on the very bottom left. So we've got our battery icon showing as well as the check engine. The only reason why is because the vehicle is in accessory mode. Those would go away with a full startup, but just accessory running off of battery power for now. But we can also, like I mentioned, turn the system on or off very easily, and then we can also increase or decrease how close or how far we are away from the vehicle that's in front of us. So you can see those things kind of going backwards, forwards as we go, and then we can either increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time. Now, one thing to point out, if the system's turned on and it's fully activated, if you've got it set, let's say at 100 kilometers an hour, if the vehicle in front of you slows down, yours is automatically going to brake. If they pick up speed or get out of the way, yours will pick right back up to your set speed again. So very, very straightforward there. We can toggle the system off very simply if we want to. Along the right-hand side, we've got a series of different buttons that are going to control what's going on with that cluster screen, which we'll get to in just a second. We've got a series of other options down here. Very bottom one, so we do have our pony badge there, which pony badge is going to bring up different modes. Same thing, we'll get to that in a second. We've got our different sources, so we can change between AM, FM, Sirius XM, and a few other options there. If we had our phone connected, that would show up as an available source. If we had a USB stick with MP3s, that would show up as an available source. So a few different options that are available. We can answer or hang up on a phone call there. We've got our navigation, so we can look at our previous destinations, favorites, different point of interest icons, which is kind of neat. So if we go food, fuel, etc., lets us know exactly what's close by. We just hit OK.
Obey traffic laws, be alert, and use voice commands while driving.
Perfect.
Please proceed to the highlighted route, and then the route guidance will start.
There we go. So it's saying right now that we're off route, but as we go on to the route itself, hold on, I've got to turn this bad boy on. Oh yeah, there we go. All right. So we got our rumble going there. Rumble in the jungle. But as you can see there, so the route itself is now turned off. So very, very straightforward there. And look at this startup screen. Absolutely love this thing. All right, if you ever get any sort of messages on the screen there, we're just going to press the OK button in the middle in order to be able to adjust and jump through as necessary. But moving back into our navigation, so we can cancel the route out that we just started. We just go navigation again. We can look at previous destinations, favorites, and a few other options. We've got a setting button along the very bottom, which is going to lead us into some more advanced settings. So before we get there, one other button to point out along this side. So this is our voice command prompt. Pressing our voice command prompt gives us the option to do a few things. So as you can see there, we've got a list. We can do things like change songs, radio stations, and navigate using our voice very simply. So what we're going to do is now navigate through a few different things. So we've got our pony button there, and we've got our settings button. So we're going to start off on settings, and then I'll zoom out, and then I'll show you the pony mode. So let's kind of zoom in a tiny little bit so you can see exactly what's going on. And here we go. So what I'm going to do as I kind of move through all of these different screens, I am just going to be using the up and down button, as well as the OK and the generic back button. So we do have our trip fuel counters there. So as of right now, so nothing's showing up. So we go down, we've got our trip counter. We can press and hold OK in order to be able to reset. And it's reset there. Same idea, trip 1, 2. We can reset our fuel economy. We've got our tire pressure, and then back to a blank screen. Moving back, we do have our driver assistance settings. Auto engine off, so if we come to a complete stop, that's the one that's potentially going to kill power to the engine. So we can turn that thing off if we want to. We've got our blind spot system, so that lets us know if anybody's under the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. We get a little orange light along our side view mirrors. Pre-collision assist, if the vehicle senses a potential collision, it can actively brake for us. Same idea, we can toggle that system off if we want to. Cross traffic alert, so as we go to back up, if someone's coming perpendicular, so from the left or right, we're going to get a little message letting us know of a potential collision. Cruise control, we've got two different types. So we do, inside of the Ford Smart and Safe package, have the adaptive cruise. We could select it so that it's just our normal cruise control instead. So a few different options there. Our driver alert, if we get too many messages, as we start to veer over too many times, we will eventually get a message letting us know we should probably take a break. Rear parking aid, we can toggle off that beeping. We've got our lane keeping system with a few different modes. So I explained those ones earlier. So we've got an alert, an aid, or alert and aid. And then we also have the intensity of that steering wheel shake. So if we've got the system turned on, if we get that shake, it's what's the intensity or the feel of the shake going to be. And we've got our wipers, courtesy wipe with that thing turned on. What's going to happen is during a wiper cycle, it's going to wait a second and then just go one more time in order to clear away any excess liquid. And then we've got our rain sensing wipers. We do also have the option of going kilometers and miles per hour, so you can see the speed kind of changing out as necessary there. And we can move into some advanced settings now. So vehicle settings, we've got some options for our alarm. So we can have all sensors active or just our perimeter sensors. With the all sensors active, if we've got our vehicle locked and our windows rolled down, somebody reaches inside, it's going to sound the alarm, which is kind of neat. Perimeter would just be our alarm on the outside of the vehicle. Easy entry exit. If your vehicle has power seats with this setting enabled, what's going to happen is when you go to turn the vehicle off, it's going to lower the seat and back it up in order for you to get in and out of the seat of the vehicle a little bit easier. And we do also have our seat memory buttons, so 3 individual settings there. So we can set up our side view mirrors as well as our driver's seat if you have power seats in order for it to remember that, which is definitely a nice thing. Intelligent access you saw earlier, so rather than using the key fob to unlock, if this thing is enabled and you've got your key fob on you, you can just slide your hand by the door and that'll unlock for you. We've got some options for lighting, so when we go to lock the vehicle, do the lamps stay on for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 120 seconds? And then our auto high beam. So rather than just flashing the high beams out there, locking them out, etc., we can have it in the auto setting. So what that's going to do, our high beams are on. If the vehicle senses somebody's oncoming, it's going to start lowering them for us. And then when they are gone, it's going to bring them right back up to our full brightness again. So it is nice. We've got that as an option. Our lock, we've got our auto unlock, so when the vehicle's stopped, the doors become unlocked, yes or no. We've got our feedback and mislock, so if we don't have the doors shut completely and we go to lock, we're going to get a double chirp letting us know to check the doors. Remote unlock, are all doors unlocked or is it just the driver door first? And then we've got our switch inhibitor. Oil life reset, so if you're changing oil yourself, that's where you're going to go. You're just going to press and hold OK in order to reset that. We've got a remote start with a few other options. So climate settings. So if we go to remote start, do we want the system to just be deactivated so we can't remote start whatsoever? I showed you earlier we can remote start through the key fob. We also have the option of using our cell phone to remote start through the Ford Pass app. And that's on both Android and iPhone devices. But if we remote start, what happens? For climate, is it going to be based off of the last setting, or do we let the vehicle determine what the climate should be? With our seats, when a wheel, same idea. Do we want to have our heated seats or heated steering wheel come on? And then the duration, so either a 5, 10, or 15-minute start. Back again, we also do have our tire mobility kit. So that should be replaced after 4 years, but you can have that. And I always just recommend keeping it on, and it'll let you know when you need to replace that. We do also have our windows, so we can remote open as necessary. Let's hop outside, and I'll show you how that system works. Did you know that you can use the key fob inside of your Mustang in order to roll the windows down? It's a very straightforward process. Let me show you how it's done. on the key fob, what we're going to do is press the unlock button twice. On that second button press, we're going to hold. So we're going to go 1, 2, and hold. And one cool thing is as it starts to drop, we can press the lock button part way in order to pause it. And then we just double click again. Second button press again, we're going to hold in order to keep them going down the rest of the way. So 1, 2, and down they go. Now, if for whatever reason the key fob is not working, in order for you to go down, so you're pressing that lock button, you're holding it on that second press and it's not going down, inside of the cluster screen of the Mustang, just make sure that you've got the setting enabled. It's very straightforward in order to get to the setting. We just navigate through our basic settings there in order to get to it. Now, if you don't have that setting inside of your Mustang whatsoever, there is an app called ForScan, which would give you the flexibility to enable global windows up and down and a number of other things. Check with your Ford dealer first to see if they're willing to enable it for you. If they're not, you could look at doing that aftermarket yourself. It's a very straightforward process in order to get it done. I'll link down to the ForScan app down below. So that is pretty neat. From there, we've got a few other options. My Key gives us the flexibility to have a key fob with certain limitations. So one of the nice things is that if you don't want people going nuts inside of your car, you do have the flexibility to set certain speed limits and things like that. So if you're afraid of the dealership, going nuts with your car, you can set it so that they can't go faster than 100 kilometers an hour. And there are a few other things that you can set up there. And then our display setup, do we want to be liters per 100, miles per gallon, etc.? What temperature do we want, tire pressure, and then our available languages. So we've got a few other options that are available there. That's going to be the basics of the advanced settings there. And moving out, next up, we also do have our pony button there. So pony button, really, really nice, and there are so many different options that are available here. So starting off, we've got our My Mode and Show Status. So as you can see there, we've got a few different options that are available. So as we use the toggle shifters to go through different modes, as you can see there, we've got our normal versus our sport mode versus our track mode versus our drag. So each mode, as you can see there, will do something different. We can actually customize this thing so that it does look different for every mode, or we can have it stay the same for every mode. So we've got a few different options there. Easily press back there. So we're going to, let's just save this bad boy out. Boom, there we go. Jump back into our pony and we've got our exhaust mode. So a series of different options for our exhaust. Let's hop outside and you can listen to what those sound like. So it is nice that we've got so many options. We've got our quiet mode, normal, sport, track. We've also got our quiet start, so we can toggle the system on, and then we can set what time the quiet exhaust is going to be on. This is only going to be the option if you've got the active valve exhaust. So if that's not in your vehicle whatsoever, this option just won't be there. You can't, could you do something aftermarket? Technically yes, but it's not going to be the same as if you were to get the factory active valve exhaust. So if you want that system, get it from the time of ordering from the factory, because it's a crazy expensive amount to get something that's not as good as the factory option. We've got some track options. So we've got our acceleration timer, brake performance, line locks, lap timers, different start options. So for different countdowns and things like that. So if you're taking this thing on the track, we've got some killer apps that are available. And same idea, so we've got some different options for our gauges. Move back from there into our pony mode, and we can configure your gauges. So if you want to show the air-fuel ratio, or oil temperature, oil pressure, and a few others. So you've got 3 individual options that are available there, so select whichever ones you like. Let's go vacuum, and then we'll move back out and show gauges. Boom. So we do have the option of showing individual gauges there, which is definitely a nice thing. And as you saw there, we've got the flexibility to customize which gauges show up. You can also customize the color. So that's kind of a neat one. So we go primary color. We can change it out to, let's say, red, orange, blue, whatever the case may be. And then as we go through other colors, so we've got these smaller highlights that you can see, we can change those things out. So a series of different options to create your own look. We've got a few different options for ambient light. So we've got ambient light in a few different parts of the vehicle, and we can even choose the color. So we've got our ice blue, greens, purples, etc. We can create our own custom color if we want something a little bit more unique on top of that. So create my color, there we go. So we can literally go through the RGB spectrum in order to be able to set the color that we want to for each individual component, which is kind of neat. Then we've got some options for our cluster appearance. So what you saw earlier, as we change different modes on our steering wheel, it's going to change the dynamic look. But if you're a bigger fan of an individual look, you can have this. So see, look at that, we've got our sport mode there instead. So we can permanently lock this out so that it's that individual mode instead, which is amazing. But that's going to be the basics of the pony mode because we go back through, and that's going to be the basics of that. And then we jump through, we've got our audio, which you saw earlier, and then we've got our basic up and downs, etc. So that was kind of neat, right? I love all of the different options. The active valve exhaust, oh, so nice. I absolutely love the way that thing sounds. But if you have any questions though, you ran into any problems, you need some clarification, drop down in the comment section below and let me know. I'm more than willing to talk you through any issues that you might be having. But if you enjoyed this video, thumbs up, share it with your social networks, and think about subscribing. And until I see you next time, take care.